All right, so today's video, I want to talk about a Reddit story of this 21-year-old guy living in the United States who essentially talks about his childhood and his experience being bullied for his height. Now, in my opinion, this guy isn't even short. In the post, he claims that he's 5'7". This is quote unquote short for him. Now, I'm using air quotes because 5'7" is actually the average height, depending on which part of the world you're from. For instance, if you're from the Philippines, the average height is only 5'4". Now, of course, if you're Dutch, then 5'7" is technically considered short. So back to the story. I'm going to read you the Reddit post of this guy's breakdown of what being short is like. Let's call this guy's name Daniel, or Dan, who pretty much goes through his childhood experience of being short, and we're going to read it and analyze it together. This will just go to show you how psychologically messed up some people are and how your height will actually determine your personality as you grow older. So if you're under the age of 18, this should give you a good motivation to height max. So the beginning of the story starts where he goes through the first year of his school, and he reads, "When we were in the first year of school, everyone was relatively the same height. Near fourth grade, some kids just shot up. By middle school, almost everyone was taller than me." So this is actually a pretty common thing with people growing up and being short or being tall. As you are a kid, you actually are very similar heights to each other. Like the variance is very small. Like usually it varies between 1 to 4 inches. You know, you could be minus 2 inches and be considered short, or plus 4 inches and be considered tall, where in the grand scheme of things, that's not that much. And then obviously, as you get older, that gap actually decides to get larger and larger as you become an adult. So he goes on to say, "I didn't get bullied. I used to be really violent, actually, to overcompensate for my physical inadequacy. People don't really want to start fights over nothing, and they knew I wouldn't mind fighting, so they never started anything. They never started shit." So this is actually pretty common. You hear a lot as people act crazy as a defense mechanism for their insecurities. Now, some people do it, subconsciously. They don't even realize they're doing it. But this guy seems like he's half intelligent. So he was actually understanding that he was acting crazy just so, other people wouldn't mess with him. And this is actually, I'm not going to say it's a good idea, but it's a really good way. Obviously, he says he didn't really get bullied too much because of it, but he had to do it. As you can see, he had to do it to prevent himself from getting bullied because he probably saw other people around him that were shorter who were getting picked on. So he goes on to say, "I think short people are treated differently. I have noticed that when you are walking towards someone of average stature, so not even tall," and this is actually a good point. So usually the people that do the bullying are insecure about height themselves. So usually we will see the people being the biggest dickheads are the people that are average height. So I don't know, that varies depending on where you're from, but like, let's just say 5'8" to 5'11". But yeah, usually if you're over 6 feet, you realize that it is kind of brutal to be short and it's something you can't really control too much, and you can height max, but the average person doesn't height max, right? But yeah, so he's pretty much saying that people that are average stature pretty much won't move out of the way when they're walking head on with each other. So obviously he says this isn't a big deal, just annoying. And yeah, he said he heard there's a subconscious discrimination against short people when it comes to employment. Statistically, they make less money than people with the same qualifications, but it's nothing you can't overcome by working hard. So no need to feel sorry for us, which I don't really agree with. But yeah, he's pretty much admitting that life is on hard mode if you are a certain height, that people do unfortunately treat you differently. And again, it's like the average people, the people who are the most insecure are usually the biggest assholes. People that are secure with themselves don't really feel the need to treat people poorly and are actually the nicest people in my experience. So like the taller people, the people that are most affluent are usually the most charitable from my experience, which makes sense. So for the most part, I'd say women also find taller men much more sexually attractive, but women can prefer any trait they want. So it's no less arbitrary than the rule of measure for female beauty. And even though you are short, somebody out there will probably have sex with you. I don't know if I'm going to get demonetized for saying that word, but yeah, pretty much what he's trying to say is, yes, you will experience a bunch of women who will discredit you or eliminate you from the conversation just because of your height. But again, this doesn't really hold true because you can overcompensate in many other ways. Like there's so many other ways. So initially they might not be physically attracted to you, but there's ways you can still get to know them and show your worth without your height, and they'll still sleep with you. they may not show you off to the world, but they will still connect with you on a deeper level. So yeah, he's like, I've noticed when I drink with women, their mother instincts kicked in. So their motherly instincts will kick in, and they are watchful. They keep a watchful eye on me, making sure I don't get too drunk. So this part's a little bit weird in this conversation. I don't know if this guy is just imagining this. This definitely isn't something I've experienced with shorter friends. And I think they've reached my threshold. They'll prepare food for me. So pretty much, I think he's just alluding to the fact that when he drinks, he gets very confrontational. He probably has short man syndrome, so he gets very, confrontational, like wants to start fights and just acts crazy. Whereas with the taller people that are more secure with themselves, they don't need to be watched by other women. They don't need motherly instincts. Then it's also talking about the bias of women treating you like a child, right? So I think that's actually a very good point. So then he goes on to say, today I still have a bit of a Napoleon complex, so he admits it, and people will walk all over me until I stand up for myself. It's a bit hard to get laid, but hey, I'm just playing the dating game on hard mode. And he just goes on to say, I'm 5'7" and 21. So that is the whole Reddit post. But yeah, so again, he admits that he's living life on hard mode. And just to say that you shouldn't let it stop you from living your life. It's not a death sentence if you are short. And again, there are things you can do. But yeah, this is the Reddit post, and I think it was very informative. All right, so we're going to end it here. Now, if you visit Reddit or any online forum, there's plenty of posts just like this one where guys are essentially sharing their horror stories of being quote unquote short. And I understand that some people might think this is a dumb reason to feel sorry for yourself, but you have to understand the psychology behind it. We are social creatures who desire respect and love from other people. Something that's mostly based on genetic factors and out of your control, people can't help but feel helpless in their current situation. So I'm not here giving black pill content, rather just highlighting and sharing experiences from different points of view. Fortunately, you might be able to increase your height naturally within a given 5-year time span through height maxing, especially if you have stunted growth as a child. At the end of the day, let's all just try to be better humans to each other and understand that everyone is different. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you made it this far in the video, I just created an Instagram page and it's called kurt.snitzer. Make sure you give me a follow and I'll follow you back. Check out my other videos as well.
For more videos on height maxing, visit my channel and subscribe. Thank you for the love and support. Goofy RRRRRRRR.